Broncos country, how are we feeling today? I've wanted to make this video all day, but I have been needing to go to classes. I'm a junior in college, so yeah, it's tough. College, as a college student in my junior year, it's tough to balance these videos and homework and all this stuff, but I wanted to make this video because what great news to wake up to. We have hired Nathaniel Hackett as the head coach. I woke up and I was like, dang, I want to make a video on this, but I had to go to class. So I waited through all the classes, and now we're ready to make this video. The Broncos hired Nathaniel Hackett as their head coach. Out of the three remaining candidates, Nathaniel Hackett, Kevin O'Connell, and Dan Quinn, Hackett was my number one choice. It went Hackett as my number one, then O'Connell's my number two, and then number three is Dan Quinn. I didn't really want Dan Quinn, but this is terrific news. Man, I am so excited. I want to remind you, though, that Jesus is King. I pray that you give your life to Him. He's got a plan and a purpose for you, and I just truly hope that you believe with your whole heart that Jesus died on the cross for your sins, and if you truly do believe that, then you'll go to heaven. And let's jump into this thing. We got the W, a common George Paton W. We got the awards waiting for the W's of George Paton. Man, this is a tremendous hire. George Paton has taken W after W after W for the Broncos. Just such a smart football mind. George Paton is just, this hire is probably our best ever of George Paton. And then now that we got Nathaniel Hackett, it's going to help out our offense so much, because when you look at our team, yeah, we got a great defense, but the offense is what needs help. So hiring an offensive mind, to me, is what needed to be done. That's what we did. Nathaniel Hackett is the new head coach, and George Paton we trust. Let's go. In George Paton we trust. So for Nathaniel Hackett, here's what his NFL career's looked like so far. He's been with the Packers since 2019 as their head coach, but he's also had previous experiences as a head coach with the Buffalo Bills and Jacksonville Jaguars. During that year in Jacksonville, he took the Jaguars to the AFC Championship and almost the Super Bowl with Blake Bortles. He called a terrific game and just came up short. He did call the plays in Jacksonville. He did not call the plays these past 3 years in Green Bay, but he helped out tremendously and contributed significantly to the Packers' offense in that way. But yes, Jacksonville, that is where he called the plays with Blake Bortles and almost got them to the Super Bowl, which is crazy. And then he was actually supposed to catch a flight down to Jacksonville. This is what, according to reports, to have a second interview with the Jaguars. And George Paton was like, nah. You're not catching that flight, because you're going to come to Denver and you're going to be the next head coach of the Broncos. He accepted it. I believe it's a 4-year deal. And yeah, I mean, he has 12 years of coaching experience prior to those years in Buffalo and Jacksonville. So he had the 3 years with the Packers, the time with the Jaguars and the Bills, and top on 12 years on top of that. He has got some experience in the NFL, and he's an offensive mind, which is what I personally wanted in our next head coach. And he becomes the Broncos, I believe it's the 18th Broncos head coach, but it could also be the 17th Broncos head coach. I've heard both the 17th and the 18th, so yeah, it's definitely one of the two. I just heard multiple sources confirm it, so I went with 18 because I believe that's what I believe to be true, but yes, we will see. And then under Nathaniel Hackett in Green Bay, and once again, he did not call the plays in Green Bay, but he contributed significantly. You saw how sad the players were when the Packers players were when he got hired by the Broncos. You saw how highly Aaron Rodgers spoke of him. So he's just a great leader, which is what the Broncos were looking for, and he's got a great offensive mind. This guy is going to be perfect for what the Broncos want to do. This past season, the Packers went 13-4 and were the number one seed, but they would end up losing in the divisional round to the 49ers. Then in 2020, they went 13-3, and remember, this past season, we expanded to 17 games, so that's why there's an extra game. But in 2020, the Packers went 13-3. and were the number 1 seed, but ended up losing to the Buccaneers in the NFC Championship game. Then in 2019, the Packers went 13-3 again and were the number 2 seed, but would end up losing to the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. And yeah, that is an impressive record, 13 wins. Now, obviously, you got to contribute some of that success to Aaron Rodgers, some of that success to Matt LaFleur, but Nathaniel Hackett definitely played a big part in that success for the Packers, and I believe he'll bring some of that winning culture to the Broncos. Just a great leader, great offensive mind to help bolster that offense. And yeah, I'm super excited. This is the guy that I wanted the Broncos to hire out of the remaining 3. He was number 4 in my top 5 head coaching candidates, but he skyrocketed up the board as soon as I started doing more research, and this is a phenomenal hire for the Broncos. So I want to take a look at previous head coaches for the Broncos and what their success looks like. So Nathaniel Hackett is an offensive mind, so just keep that in mind. For the previous 3 seasons, we were under Vic Fangio, a defensive-minded head coach, and we missed the playoffs entirely under those 3 years. Before him, we had Vance Joseph for 2 seasons, and we once again missed the playoffs entirely. Under Gary Kubiak, who was an offensive-minded head coach, we went to the Super Bowl and we won the Super Bowl. Under John Fox, who was a defensive-minded head coach, we went to Super Bowl 48, where we would end up losing to the Seattle Seahawks. Josh McDaniels was an offensive-minded head coach, but we saw very little success under McDaniels. And Mike Shanahan, of course, the greatest coach in Broncos history. We went to many Super Bowls, but the biggest accomplishment was winning back-to-back Super Bowls in Super Bowls 32 and 33 in 1997 and 98. So it varies. You have Mike Shanahan and Kubiak responsible for all 3 of our Super Bowl wins, but then you also have a guy like John Fox who took us to a Super Bowl. So it varies, but I think an offensive-minded head coach is smart. That's the thing that we need to turn around. We already got that stellar defense. Let's focus on fixing up that offense now, and I think Nathaniel Hackett is the perfect guy to do so, the perfect guy to develop a quarterback. Obviously, we'll probably bring in a veteran, whether that be Rodgers, Wilson, Garoppolo, one of those guys, but also develop a Drew Lock, develop a rookie if we go in that direction. So we'll have to see what happens, but I feel fully confident in the team's direction going with George Paton at the helm, with Nathaniel Hackett as head coach. And yeah, I have got some good videos coming up now that we got our head coach. I got a full offseason plan. We'll do a couple of those. We'll come up with a 7-round mock draft. We'll look at free agents. We'll look at potentially the ownership group. So I got a lot of videos coming out for you, so make sure to subscribe and leave a like on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.